Hey guys, MagicPanda here. I goofed and got all this recorded, didn't capture the audio for the intro. Essentially, Darkknight says, welcome to the second RTR Streams podcast. Today we're going to be talking about Mountain Blade 2, Bannerlord, and he talks about that he's not really familiar with the series, but that I am, so my bad, enjoy the show. So, Mountain Blade is everything I love in video games, just in terms of its general style and design. So I heard that the second one was coming out, and I was like, I want to talk about it. It's not really Destiny or that style of gameplay, so I'm pretty much the only one that is really into this. But I think after watching this, it's not a reveal video per se, but it's a tech demonstration, pretty sure anyone can at least respect what the game's going for. Mountain Blade came out in like 2008, had very mediocre scores. Like looking down here at the scores listed on the Wikipedia, they're like 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 8 out of 10, pretty good, IGN. 62 out of 100, so a very mediocre scores, not terrible in the realm of games. But, it definitely could be something. They probably would have wanted higher scores. I think the Metacritic score was 72, 73% on game rankings. So just kind of middle of the field. However, in 2010, they came out with a standalone expansion called Mountain Blade Warband, which is the one I'm actually more familiar with. Warband is basically, it had a greater multiplayer, could support up to like 250 people. It's got all kinds of other things going with it too, like better graphics, the map and everything. The gameplay itself was a little bit more polished, and that's where a lot of people really jumped in. They actually recently ported that, as of September of last year, they ported that to the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. However, if you can play it on the computer, I recommend that, because you can get the DLC for Warband, which is the Viking Conquest and Napoleonic Wars. Viking Conquest is amazing.
Just don't play it on the Mac.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Mac fan, but don't play games on the Mac.
I actually didn't know that it was available on the Mac until we were just now looking at the Wikipedia. And my rig with my 1070, there's some things I have to turn down to stay at 144 frames. I can get this thing down to 24 frames playing that game. I cannot imagine trying to play this on one of my MacBook Pros. That would be painful to watch. So the video here is, who posted it was Mr. Gamer Trailer. It's posted in April, but I'm pretty sure this is from a conference in March. We'll find that. I think it actually says at the beginning of it. Either way, it's relatively new information. We're a little bit behind the 8 ball on this one. But
as is our memo.
As is our memo, yeah. And honestly, like, just immediate first impressions, this is totally Chivalry Medieval Warfare-esque, this whole menu right here. I saw that and I was like, well, that's kind of boring and drab, but the rest of the game isn't. Anyone who's played...
The game developers sat down and they're like, look, we need an opening screen. What game here recently came out with a bunch of Vikings that kill each other? Mm-hmm. Oh, I know.
Right. I love Chivalry. So immediately, this looks good. I just want to say, I know this is a test build, and test builds always look good, and they're probably playing on like SLI 1080s. It looks good, nevertheless.
Well, and I mean, for what it is, the type of game and everything, it's not too bad looking.
Right. I'm going to try to make it to where y'all can at least hear what they're saying. We're not going to be able to for the sake of echo. What they're saying here is they're running this in a module where it's going to do specific things. It will have specific things available for them.
Wouldn't that be cool if you had to play the game by entering prompt commands?
Right. I miss the 90s. So just kind of jumping ahead a few seconds here. They go right into the character creator.
Can you be shirtless with a big beard the whole time?
I'm pretty sure you actually could, but you're not going to be very well protected from enemy swords. And if you played the original games, this is like miles ahead. I plan on doing a video where I go back and review Warband, or at least the Viking Conquest expansion, and I'll try to show you guys in that what the character creator looked like in there. May even do a series where I go through a build. But they have all kinds of things here: weight, build, age. You can change the gender. You can do hair, you can do eyes. Apparently, or allegedly, you can do teeth. So if you don't like your character's teeth, you can change that.
You know, because everybody needs to be able to pick from like 1 to 4 teeth.
Right. And even in the old game, you could click randomize all. Now you can click on a specific section and go randomize this one characteristic of my character. Like,
oh, that is cool.
You want to randomize the eyes only. And I love that because I've had that problem. It's like, I don't know what kind of jawline I want. Randomize the jawline, or at least that part of the face, and not lose everything done. Yeah, so they have different teeth. And they're all very what you would expect for the year 1000 in make-believe Middle Europe.
I like the mustache.
Yeah, that is a very Spaniard-esque mustache. It's very...
I thought this was a Viking.
Very, well, see, that's the... I play Vikings always, but you can be Viking, you can be like a... you can play Vikings, you can be like a medieval knight, you can be like a Frankish raider of some sorts, you can be literally any kind of warrior from the day. You can be more like the Turkish style armies, the Middle Eastern armies, European, Northern European, Western European. There's all kinds of options with this game, and that's kind of what drew me into Warband. Essentially, though, that's an interesting jawline they're going with.
As I said, that underbite.
Right, and basically all they're going to show here is more and more of that. I kind of want to skip on to get to more of the meat and potatoes here. Yeah, who does that look like?
It looks like... Oh, man, what's his name?
From Star Wars?
Yes, from Star Wars. Kylo Ren.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure in the video they make that comment, but as soon as I saw that, I'm like, that looks like Kylo Ren. So you're going to be like an angsty emo Sith Lord, apparently.
Can you wear just black leather?
Right.
It's Kylo Ren.
So here's the map. It's not modeled after any particular country. Now, in the Viking Conquest in the old game, it actually is modeled after kind of Northern Europe. This is not. It is kind of resembling that of Europe minus the islands. At least when you look down at where Greece connects with the Middle East, you kind of get those vibes, but you don't really have...
Okay, now this is the part where you have to pause and pronounce all the names of the cities.
Oh, I gave up. You should... If you've played the old war bands, especially the Viking Conquest, don't even try, because you'll get Welsh names in there, and if you know the Welsh alphabet, it's because you speak Welsh, because no one else does.
I think the only way to properly pronounce it is to knock out half of your teeth and be chewing on a bone.
Right. Arconia, I can pronounce that one. I ain't even gonna try anymore, but they're kind of showing the map and the movement. It's just like it was before, where as your character moves, time progresses forward. When your character stops, time has stopped, and that's when you can do inventory management. Yeah, basically. It's when you can do inventory management. They have a lot of new details, though. For again, kind of people who have played the old games will respect this. If you look at the very bottom and center of the screen, it shows you how much of a food supply you have left. That's amazing, because the number of times I've gone on long trips and halfway there it's like, oh, your troops' morale is tanking because they're starving. I'm like, my bad, so you got to go find somewhere to buy bread.
So what's with the numbers below the characters?
That's how many troops are in their actual group. So like he has his party of 4. It's him and 3 other people. And then this group of looters here are 16 looters.
Is Captain Phasma one of them?
Apparently. So he just told them surrender or die. So with looters, generally, if you have a large army, they'll go on their own way. If you have a small army, then they'll give you the option to pay up. So now he's actually in game, in combat. This new control menu, and you're going to see it much more later, is amazing. The old troop controls, you would issue out verbal commands like, 10 paces forward, 10 paces back, follow me, hold this position, fire at will, blunt weapons only, whatever. This new engine that they have is amazing. I'm really concerned, though, because, again, I'm sure they're playing on a machine here that's got, like, dual 1080s or something. I'm really concerned with all the foliage. I'm curious as to how they're going to be able to optimize this for weaker systems.
I'm wondering why he just put an arrow through that guy's jawline and he didn't immediately drop dead.
Right. Well, maybe he did just hit jaw. I'm not sure. You get some really funny...
It's embedded in his sinuses.
Right. You get some really funny moments playing Mount & Blade where you're running around with like 14 javelins stuck in your spear.
It was at that moment
Yeah, right. One thing I will take note of, he's got to be playing on a lower difficulty because he's taking a lot of hits and he's not taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, I was gonna say God mode. Anybody?
Yeah, right. He's barely lost a fifth of his health.
You have received 0 damage, 36 damage.
Yeah. There you go. So this
I wonder,
game,
maybe he's better equipped and he's blocking some of the damage.
yeah. Well, and you can hear if you have the audio up high enough, you can hear like little tinks and changs across whenever he's fighting where the weapons have clashed together, and those count as blocks. And I think what they said is it's the old school block engine where based on mouse movements. Back in the old days, if you're like me, the mouse movements were terrible, so you just changed the option that said, whatever's best, and then you would just keep doing swings until you could load up the one you wanted to hit somebody with and then sneak up behind them. Fun times. This end of the battle menu is so much more detailed than it was before. It's not just course numbers and a bunch of wording that you don't want to read through. Here he's taking prisoners. He said in this video, he says he's going to sell them on the slave market.
That's what you do with all prisoners.
Basically, I mean, I end up recruiting half of them because they normally have better soldiers than I have.
Either that or you could eat them.
Yeah. So
Vikings, man, anything goes.
right. So Kylo Ren here seems to have some kind of a plated armor. He's got pretty good gear on. So then you see it's 4 plus 5. It's his 4 people plus 5 prisoners.
So even though his troops died, they
well,
were
and
revived.
for him, all those troops weren't actual foot soldiers. They were companions. Generally, companions don't die.
Okay.
They can die, but generally they don't. Generally, they get wounded because they can change the story, especially in story mode. So you see, it looks like there's the more Middle Eastern kind of like a Arabian area over here.
This kind of reminds me a lot of the map from Gladius. If you ever played that back on Xbox.
Oh, it's been so long. That sunrise is actually impressive. So the map view here is so much better than it was before. It looks like he's waiting without setting up a camp, and I don't know if that's in the test build, but that definitely wasn't in the original game. Yeah, there's actually a pause, play, and fast forward. So don't really care about them chatting. Essentially, they're going to jump into a town here. And the cool thing to take note of, basically they said depending on where you're at, if you're in a desert place, they'll have a completely different culture. Their towns will look different. Their buildings will look different. If you're in a Western European place, they will have the more of the Western European styling. Same thing with what would be like a Mediterranean or coastal place like that. They will have a different styling. So there's different cultures, so much so that it'll vary not only with what it looks like on the walls and what the people are doing, the instruments they're playing, they're eating, whatever. The board games that they're playing at different tables will be different based on the culture you're in. So they put a lot of detail into the kind of the RPG aspect. And that's the point I was trying to get to. This game is a real-time strategy, which is what actually drew me in the first time. It's a real-time strategy that's reminiscent of some of those old Star Wars games that I remember playing on like the PlayStation, where you could control the lightsaber with a thumbstick. So you can control your character, their weapon swings. Your ability to win in the battles very much so has to do with the quality of the troops that you've trained and your ability to use the weapons you have. So everybody has their own favorites. Like I'm very partial to the shield and axe or shield and sword.
65 troops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and see that's what this is another thing that's new to this. He had not only a companion that he was able to leave at this town, he left them there with a garrison of 65 troops. That is awesome, because the way it is now, unless you're a lord or a king, you're kind of stuck with the troops you have, unless you just want to set them free from, whatever bonds they have to you, and then you have to go buy more troops when you need them back. So essentially he's running through the town here. Nothing real key in terms of the details that we get to hear. This is a group of thugs, and he decides to fight them, which that's kind of typical, whatever. They're in the city, thugs, which is interesting. You're not just like a group of random bandits. So he decides to fight them. He just hit him with the hilt. That's cruel. Decides to fight them. They slay them. Now what he's able to do is actually set up one of his guys to watch that area, and he can defend it to keep that group of criminals from setting up in that town to, I guess, reduce the crime in the town or to get more friendly with the local lord, or he can set up his own criminal empire there, which is awesome. You can go in there, take out the existing thugs, racketeers, whatever they're doing, and then set up your own guys and start making money that way. So it seems like the economy is much more fleshed out in this game, because in the old game you either traded, you would run around taking out and killing raid groups and then selling the prisoners you got into slave markets and selling the items you got, and that's the only way to really make money. Or in the Viking Conquest, you would raid like monasteries and stuff. In this game, they actually seem to have somewhat more focused into the economy, and that, or if you obviously if you're a lord, you got rents and tariffs from your towns, but it takes a little bit to get there unless you're in a sandbox mode.
When it comes down from Eric that you're raiding a monastery, it's like a Friday.
Yeah, right. This is the part that I love. Had to skip for it. This is the thing.
Okay, there's more detail in the weapons than anything else.
And you're about to see why. You can not only, like in the old games, you could go up there and go, hey, make me a sword, and they'll make you a sword or an axe or whatever. Hey, make me a special kind. You get to pick the blade, which apparently you will find these items out in the wild.
What is that blade called?
I didn't see the name of it. Let's go back a little bit more. I'll have to wait. I don't think Curse. He's moving probably too fast to really see. Anyways, so like you'll be able to travel into the Northlands and find like a pommel that you like, and this is kind of what they're saying. And you may find a blade that you like in the desert, or in the western side of the lands.
You can mix and match them. That's cool.
Yeah, and then there's a size gauge here. You can change the length of the blade, of the handle, or whatever. And because of the way the mechanics work in fighting in this game, that will affect how the weapon performs in a fight.
If that was on a pole, it would make me think of the Matrix.
Right. Well, and then the next thing, too, different things have different attributes for balance, for thrust, for swing, for range. So you can build like a horse-stopping pike, or you can just leave it kind of simplistic. I don't know if he's going to mess with the size here, but you can change the length of the blade. I love that. I think that's amazing. So, and they didn't show it in this video. Maybe they show it in another one of the things that they did. I would really love to know if you can do that with armor, too. So he makes his own sword here, and then they decide that they're going to make an axe to give to an ally. So he's inspecting his sword. So you see it's got a bonus to cutting and thrusting, which would make sense for that style of blade.
So the bonuses and stuff that he was able to put on it, that came entirely from the decisions he made here in smithing it.
I think so, and it definitely was pertaining to what he decided to use, like what style of blade and stuff, and where it came from. Like different ones had different attributes. So he just changed the length of the shaft for that axe. He forgot to name it, but now he's going to equip a companion of his with that. He's looking at the stats of the current weapons to see who needs what. And we're about to get into the thing that, I mean, this sold me on this game. I knew I would like it if they were sticking with the style that they had before, where you had all these options. Just looking at the town, they still have tournaments, they still have taverns where you'll go to recruit people and find jobs. I don't see like quarries and salt mines to work at, but nobody made any money off of those anyways, short of like going to them, buying stuff and reselling it. So here he's actually met up with another group, and he's telling them to follow him. Oops. And what he's using here, it says 100 and then the red circle and I. Because he's been playing with this faction and he's been helping them, he's developed influence. So now your influence awards you influence points, and you can spend those to talk people into following you. So it's not just a matter of, am I the king of this region, yes or no, so they will or will not follow me. You actually have a way to understand if that person will or will not be interested in going along with you. So now he's got his group of 65 and their group of 65. And they're going to progress into enemy territory to try to get into a fight. Which again, this is a build that's going to do the same thing every time, so they know that there's someone up here. But this is a much better way for controlling how you can get large war parties together. I love this.
So Is there any type of cooperative play or multiplayer?
That's what I'm not sure about. The old games had multiplayer, but you would basically fight together in a simulated, like, you know, or to get your team against another team. One team was defending a castle, the other team was assaulting it. That's generally what the old multiplayer was. I would think that they could take a play out of Civilization's playbook and come up with some kind of multiplayer like that where you queue into an instance that has these kingdoms set up, and like people can come and go as they please, but you can join in.
That one guy just died of scurvy.
Yeah. But you can join in, and like, so they're about to fight this guy.
So can you use the terrain to your advantage? Like, they just crossed the bridge there. Can they use it as a choke point?
If the bridge will queue in the map, I've played on maps that have bridges. Yes, you can. I have funneled the enemy in the bridges, had my spearmen form a shield wall at the bridge so that they've clashed into shields, and have my skirmishers set up on the flanks and just rain javelins down on them.
Nice.
So that kind of control in the battle is what I love. I've always been a fan of real-time strategy. I've always played games like StarCraft and Supreme Commander, Command and Conquer, and then the more hardcore ones that have more city management, like playing the Total War games. This game takes away a lot of the city management and the politics of Total War. At least the old one did. But it brought you so much more into the battlefield because you're controlling somebody.
Why did he have his archers in front?
They do that intuitively. That's apparently a thing, that the archers stay in front. So what I normally do is let them rain a few volleys down, because they do have a limited range, and then I move my shield balls in front of them. So basically he just ran up and scouted.
I guess that's understandable.
Yeah, I never knew that was a thing until I was playing video games. What do you know, video games teaching me? He's actually starting this fight injured. I guess that's from his earlier fights. He hasn't spent enough time. So he's got his cavalry here, which looks amazing. Like, if you played the original game and you're looking at this, this looks amazing. He's kind of got a cluster here because he didn't control his group. He just told them all to form a line. I don't know. I don't have access to a demo of this game, but I would assume that you would still have the same old commands. Like, if you're taking a lot of archer fire, I would assume that you can still tell your guys to spread out so that they're not in these big clusters that can get rained down on. I would assume that you can still tell them to form rows of certain numbers like you could in the Napoleonic conquest. But I'm not sure what all carried over into this game or not. So they're moving up. The enemy has decided to stay on its high point and keep that advantage. So they're moving up, and they're going to try to plan an attack, something that will give them a bit of an edge to fight them on that high point.
They're going to do a Maximus here.
Yeah.
The cavalry's going to come in and hit him from behind.
Right. See, I'm the guy in the control room in the Matrix. Since we've already had one Matrix reference, I've already seen the ending. Okay, so they've got... He's talking to his cavalry there. They had the option to mount, so I would assume that they could dismount. And a few other commands, typical commands, move forward, retreat, stuff like that. I would assume hold the position was in there.
Psst, hey guys, they don't know we're on this side.
Yeah, right.
They're all still looking the other way.
That would be tragic. That entire army of 130 on the hill, like, I don't see them.
They take that eye for an eye thing very seriously, and they're all missing an eye on the left-hand side.
Right. Okay, so he can. I wonder what transfer troops means. So he's moving his guys forward, but he's not going all the way down into that valley.
How did you get 126 soldiers killed? I put them down in a ravine with archers above them.
Right. If the enemy team was using archers, these dudes would be getting lit up right now. And maybe they are. I don't know. Again, there's not a lot of data on screen either. Fire at will, mount, command, custom width. So I'm assuming...
run command, because
yeah.
That's going to come in handy.
Face enemy. I guess you can make them like about face to the enemy. So custom width. Okay, see, now he's getting cavalry charged. So he's going to try to countercharge with his cavalry. Which, if he's able to close in that pincer on the cavalry and kill the enemy cavalry, then, naturally he has a huge advantage. because cavalry can just shatter archer lines, and cavalry can shatter infantry lines. You know, spears become a little bit dangerous for cavalry, especially in this game, because your spear range, if you're too close, like if you're, at least in the first Mount Blade, if you're face to face with somebody and you try to use a spear, you can't physically do it, because like in the real world, a spear's effective range is when the pointy end isn't behind your enemy. It's got to be in front of them. So and that's one of those things you really have to think about. That's why I always do spear and shield if I have a spear, because when they get close, I need to have that shield to give me time to pull out my sword.
Now, this is very important. I need you to take the pointy end of the stick,
right,
and stick the enemy with it.
Right. It seems common sense. You'd be amazed. I also would love to point out the fact that A, his bow is actually on his horse's saddle, so it's not just disappearing into the ether, and B, his arrows are not high on his back. So it seems like between the first game and this game, they've actually done a little bit of research into archery, because back quivers are kind of stupid by design, whereas hip quivers or lower back quivers or saddle quivers in this case are much better designed.
To get their head taken
Was
off.
that dude?
I think that was a peasant.
I was about to say, I gotta back that up. I'm pretty sure he had a stick. I think he just killed a guy with a stick.
It was the farmer trying to
He has a stick. I'm such a hero.
He was just trying to go check on his sheep.
He's like, get away from my guns. Okay, love it. Well, that's a thing too. I don't know about this game, but in the first game, you could find like the enemies. Oh, you can do it in this game. You could find the enemy's farmers and raid them and kill them. But in this game, if you start killing a bunch of villagers and farmers, it takes away that enemy lord's ability to feed his troops, and so it will downgrade the quality of his soldiers.
Yay, civilian murder.
Yeah, right. Well, and see, that's normally what I did in the first in Warband, is I would raid them, but I would use a hammer because it would knock them all unconscious. So not only would I take his farmers out of their village, I would then go sell them in my city. So
Oops,
yeah, he
Kylo
actually
Ren
went
got
down.
Defeated. What a
Kind of.
surprise.
Well, it's spoiler alert. Jeez. This is another cool thing too. He actually has a bit more camera control after the fight. It's going to simulate the fight from here on, and just
So
like in the
he lost all control now that he's dead?
yeah, he has no control of his troops, and just like in the first game, now his troops do have a numbers advantage at this point, a pretty heavy one, and the enemy troops have lost their leader too. But just like in the first game, since he went down, his soldiers lost a lot of morale, so the chances of them retreating were drastically increased, but they had a numbers advantage. So there it was just showing kind of the casualties of the fight. I love this camera. You can do all kinds of cinematic things with it.
Does Kylo Ren have a Sith name?
I don't know.
Is he Darth something?
Darth Ren. His name is Darth Emo.
I just thought of that because I was gonna say that the troops are gonna have to get a new Sith Lord to lead them now, but
Yeah, right.
I couldn't think of his Sith name. I don't even think he has one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, is the Sith still in the same iteration it was before? Because I'm pretty sure with the Emperor down and the Emperor's favorite puppet down, I don't know. I need to. I really didn't like the new movie all that much, so I know I'm the one person who doesn't like it, but I was just like meh.
I liked it in terms of them launching a new storyline, but not so much in terms of some of the elements.
I think killing off
Voldemort for a minute.
Yeah. So luckily, just like in Star Wars, they're going to cover up Kylo's face, so it doesn't convey the emo thing for much longer here. So he's stealing their fish, not like they need it anymore. He's taking their helmet.
I'm sorry, you said helmet. All I see is a bucket.
Yeah, basically that's what that is. And if you see there, they got different types of shields like before, different types of vests, different types of boots. It looks like there's a horse up there, so you can steal their horse. I don't know why their dudes are question marks now. Maybe that's a scouting thing. I think that's just a part of this build being a work in progress. You can see too that his units are down to 13 out of 39. He went in with 65. He went down to 39, and now only 13 of them are still fit to fight in another fight.
There's some very upset wives at home.
Right. In the first game, sometimes when you meet people, they're like, "Oh, you're so and so, whatever name you choose," and like, from what I understand, a lot of widows well because of your name. That's okay. I'll talk to you. I'm just like, wow, nice little shade there. So I can't see you from under this massive shade tree you've cast. This premiere, I guess, brought to you in part by Smart Water.
Yeah.
So, and
Whoops.
yeah, it's still Taleworld doing it.
You knocked the water over on top of all your computer equipment.
Gotta sell it at a discount now. Oh, it's so sad. So yeah, it's still the same developing team, Taleworld. So I'm glad to see that. I wasn't actually 100% sure on that. There's no way they're just talking for the next. Okay, yeah, they're just talking for the next 5 minutes. That's actually pretty impressive. So I got some B-roll footage to go with this as well. Right here. And essentially this is just what it says. It is B-roll footage for Gamescom 2015.
It's very nice when it's labeled.
And
properly.
you know, so Gamescom 2015, they have to start out with the most naked you can have a lady in the game. Because Gamescom.
She kind of had the ogre eyes there for a minute there.
Right.
Or orc.
So, and then in terms of the character creator, I mean, there's still a little uncanny valley.
Can we get this game and please play it as a really, really, really skinny female?
Those teeth. Did you see those teeth?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I just
Oh, you
want
can
to
see the
like
face paint.
completely dominate the Viking world as a tiny little skinny girl.
Yep. You could do that. You could do like a Lagertha build. Be the shield maiden. If you haven't seen the show Vikings, go watch it. So we got Conan the Barbarian over here.
Okay, that is. I'm terrible with names, but it's Sherlock.
Oh, I don't know the names either.
Who's the actor that plays him? British guy. He's the dragon in The Hobbit.
Huh.
Oh, I can't think of his name.
I just want to say Cumberpatch, but I don't.
Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Is it really? That
Yeah.
was an awesome guess. I'm like, that sounds like
He's
something he would
also
do.
he's in a Marvel movie. He's the Sorcerer Supreme. I still can't think of any names right now. I've been up for way too long, by the way.
Right. It doesn't show at all. So they got this dude playing the lute in a bar or a tavern. Excuse me, they're not heathen like us. That was the wasted of B-roll. Wow, that is super loud.
Take care of this, will you?
Are all the NPCs voiced?
Yeah,
Because that's cool.
even in the old game, a lot of them were voiced.
Because I'm lazy and I don't like to read the dialogue.
Yep. In the old game, there is a lot of dialogue, and I just skip, so I love the ones that are voiced. So apparently your friend Stoke. Okay, you can either say, that's my friend's horse, this is an injustice, or, no, you step aside, you horse-thieving baboon. So, or you can just move on like a coward. And I'd like to see you try rolling in the gutter, you mean with your mother.
Okay, he sounds like the guy from the Three Amigos. We rape the horses and ride the women.
Yeah. I'm taking you down. Hard cut, no fight, boo.
It's very nice of him to
Oh.
tell you that there's a fight about to, you know.
Yeah. I love that, because in the real world, people always monologue what they're about to do. And see, he's blocking with the single-handed weapon. You can also block with your shields. And the blocks have direction, too. So you have to understand your direction. This looks like I almost said a priest, but he's just wearing a tunic. He's just an unarmored guy. I don't know what it was. The lady before kind of had the huntress
So,
vibe going on with her armor.
Are there different roles? Is it very realistic kind of?
It tries to take the realistic approach.
Okay.
There's different ways to make money, but essentially the goal is always to...
But no heebie-deebie magic kind of.
No. It's all archery, pole arms, spears, axes, stuff. See, he's found the fight up here, pointing at the screen when you guys can't see it. And he could have jumped in on that fight, but he was a little too slow.
This is back when men were men and they stabbed each other with pointy
Yeah.
sticks.
They didn't have to go Thunderbolt and throw little bags at people. So, I mean, there wasn't... I was kind of hoping that would be some decent B-roll footage. Seemed better. But it's probably old, too. It's not that old. So, essentially, the game's coming out. The history... And I guess I didn't mention this earlier. Mountain Blade had a mediocre reception. I mean, I would say terrible, and by like 2007 standards, that was terrible. 'Cause you gotta think like 2008 was the year of what, Halo 3 was 2008. So you had the year of 10 out of 10 games or 9 out of 10 games. But nowadays scores are either just lower or maybe they're a little bit more fair. Okay.
Game quality's also gone down a bit.
Right. Well, but see, that's the thing too.
That's another show.
All these new games are also having to live up to Halo 3. Nothing in my mind's ever going to beat Halo 3. Like in terms of that style. Yeah, or Halo 2. I love Halo 2's multiplayer. Halo 2's multiplayer is what got me in the multiplayer. Halo 1 multiplayer, which they almost didn't have, by the way. Yeah. Halo 1 multiplayer is what got me into Machinima. That's actually the first YouTube channel I ever had. That would be a little Easter egg hunt for y'all. Was a Machinima channel. I loved to machinimate. I bought a Dazzler Platinum, Dazzler Platinum, whatever it's called, because of Halo. So when you compare these new games with the lens of that, then the score goes down. I'm trying to find a link to the Warband. Let me just do it this way. I just kind of want to point out their Metacritic score was 72. Warband's Metacritic 2010 Metacritic was a 78. So Warband was substantially better received. I mean, a 6-point increase, and then Metacritic is average, so a 6-point increase is pretty impressive. And its scores had nowhere near, even though the average isn't that much higher, the minimum was much higher. You got 10 out of 10 from 2 reviewers. You got 7.5 to basically 8 out of 10 from a lot of other reviewers. GameSpot giving it the worst score that they have listed here. So,
I'm a console player, but I would not want to play that on Xbox.
Yeah, it's actually not bad on Xbox if you turn on the thing where your character automatically swings with whatever direction is best. Because if you try to use the thumbstick, good luck, because you spend the entire game you have to
spinning quickly.
Well, you have to look at the sky so that you can swing down and then look down at your enemy. It's terrible on the console. Unless you turn that one setting on. Once you turn that setting on, the game's actually playable, and the frames are pretty solid because they have it set basically on the minimum for the number. Like in the original game, you could change the slider from 150 troops on the battlefield to 750. If you have all 750 on the battlefield, there ain't a whole lot of reinforcements. I play on 500 because on 750 I get down to 44 frames, and I don't care for that. So, essentially, though, the Xbox is a tuned-down version, but it's not a bad tuned-down version.
It immediately red rings.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that console would not only red ring, but it would go back to lighting on fire like they used to.
No kidding, I actually had an original Xbox catch on fire once.
Did you seriously?
Yes,
I didn't know that. That's cool.
It was in the middle of a Halo session, actually. We were playing Halo 2 multiplayer, and it caught on fire.
Okay, that's amazing. I love old
technology.
Maybe
it was original Halo. But we were playing multiplayer in Halo, and it literally caught on fire and started smoking. I had to take it outside.
Well, that's freaking amazing. I did not know that. The worst I ever had, I had the Red Ring of Death a few times.
I think it was actually my Xbox. So that thing was
Dinosaur?
13 years old or something at the time.
That's not bad. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good run.
And the funny bit is it was working fine even while it was on fire.
We had
to stop in the middle of the game and turn it off.
I wonder what caught on fire, because those things had external power supplies.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't the power supplies. Something inside it was just burning up.
Huh.
I didn't bother dissecting it or anything.
Do you still have that one by chance?
I don't know.
I would love to tear into that thing. I never got to mod an original Xbox, and this might be the chance.
I actually have another one.
That would be cool.
We can play with it.
I've seen people set those things up to play. Yeah.
I don't think anyone would hold to that.
I'm pretty sure that nobody has a warranty still on their original Xbox. So yeah, basically this is the one I've been playing. I will definitely put a video out soon with this. The Viking Conquest. They've done the Reforged edition, which is what I have, and it was released about 2 years ago, and it's fun. I love these games. It's not an MMO, but it's an RPG. It's an RTS. It's a strategy game. It's a little bit of everything. It's a city simulator too, when at least in the original, where you could say, "Oh man, I really need a prison tower for this city because my prisoners keep escaping," or "I really need a market or a slave market or a school because this or this." And you get a lot of RPG elements too, where like you'll be sitting in your town, and if you own the town or if you're the lord of it or the king of the region, and people will come up with different problems, and as king or as lord of the region, you'll have to make decisions that will affect how the region perceives you, how your men perceive you. And if they carry a lot of that over, which it seems like they're going to, then I really expect this game to do well in the niche market that is people like me. That is kind of the problem that I think they will face. Is I'm going to see real quick what all they do other than this game.
So yeah,
That's it.
I'm a player who, number one, is very social, which is why I made the comment about having a multiplayer or a co-op or something. But, and I'm familiar with and understand these kind of games, but I've never really got into them just because after I play them for a few hours, I kind of lose, all hope in ever doing anything in them, just because it takes so much time, and without other people to interact with and show off what I've done, it kind of becomes boring to me. But even with that, though, this still looks pretty interesting to me. I would even give it a little bit of time in play.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna get it regardless because they've already got me hook, line, and sinker because I played.
I do really like the weapon customization kind.
Oh, it's so cool. I've never. This place is defunct, right? Wow, Paradox is still up. I didn't know that. Anyways, it's so cool. As soon as I saw it, I watched part of this video the other day, and I decided, hey, next podcast should be about this. But then I didn't actually see that part until just maybe 2 hours ago, and I'm like, wow, they have me. They knew who they were making this game for.
Is the Surviving Mars an expansion for the Vikings?
Yeah, right. This is apparently some more things from Paradox Interactive. I think they only published the first game though. But either way, Taleworlds seems to focus only on Mount & Blade. I could have swore they did it something else, but maybe not. There's also Napoleonic Wars, but this is like a multiplayer only expansion. So yeah, multiplayer focused. I didn't realize there was any single player aspects. So if they had a way to do cooperative play, even like not online multiplayer, but like cooperative, where you and a friend, it could even be versus, but like you and a friend start a world where y'all are both playing, and y'all can either join the same place, y'all can join the same faction and try to both become lords, or even one of you become the king of that faction, or give your friend the option to join a different faction and y'all end up going to war with each other. That would be amazing. Or if you could start a king sandbox and do that.
Is it Doctor Strange?
Could be Doctor Strange. Oh, let's
the
Google.
new Marvel?
Ah. I can learn how to spell. Is this strange? Maybe? I don't know.
Yes. Haha. See, my brain doesn't work, but it comes to me eventually.
Right. Was that played by Benedict?
Yeah, he's in the new one.
I didn't know that. I am so out of
It's on
touch
Netflix now.
Yep, right there. Yeah, that definitely looked like hell.
It's new to Netflix.
It had his exact teeth. So that's impressive.
Yeah, he's Sherlock. And what else was he in? He was in something else here recently.
Is he the guy who can't say penguin? Pretty sure he's the guy who can't say penguin.
Maybe?
Hang on. Now we gotta try. Yeah, he can't say penguins. Like, apparently, since he's the dude I'm thinking of, apparently whenever he tries to say it, he's like penguin.
I think he says penguin.
Yeah, penguin or something like that. So they had him in the Penguins movie. He was like the tiger or whatever. They had him in the movie. Allegedly, that played a big role in it because they knew he couldn't say the word.
That's awesome.
So that's pretty cool. So, yeah. Well, this little bit of movie trivia brought to you in part by RTR Streams. No.
Yeah.
But I think that's really all I got to say on the subject. I'm pretty sure that this game is going to come out and be awesome. The question is...
in the niche group that it's targeted to, people like you.
Right. And it really... this is playing to the guys like me who like the historical reenactments of fighting, like the Napoleonic Wars, literally lining up with muskets and firing and doing bayonet charges. So it helps guys like me who like want a game like that, but you get a little bit of what you're searching for in WoW with the RPG factor. You get a little bit of it from Mountain or from medieval, whatever that game's called, the medieval warfare game, Chivalry Medieval Warfare. You get a little bit of it from For Honor. But each game, which For Honor is like way over the top, kind of goofy. I'm not a big fan of For Honor, but that's a whole nother video.
It's like one of those stickman hack and slash games.
It is. It's a hack and slash game for people whose knowledge base of the people in the game is what they saw in a movie. And that, for those people, it's like the people who go into that game going, "This is what Vikings are like." Those people have only ever seen the movie Pathfinder. Like, that's it.
Just watch all the debunked videos on YouTube about that game.
Oh, watch the debunked videos of the Game Theorist video. That's terrible. That was like the worst video I've ever seen him do. And just in terms of the lack of research because of his conclusion in it. But, and that's the thing too. They made a game about one of the most toxic subjects in the world. Katana or the longsword. Katana or the battle axe. Battle axe or the long, like, that is one of the most toxic subjects for historians and for weapon enthusiasts. And they
notice
chose
all
that.
the weapon enthusiasts were like, we're not getting into who would win. We're just going to tell you the features.
Right, and that's generally that's anyone who, I'm going to say we because I'm a weapon enthusiast. What I say is the katana was perfect for fighting katanas, and the longsword was perfect for fighting against longswords. That's because they were made to fight against those things. Yes, there's advantages on both sides. I've sparred in a broadsword, European broadsword style, the Scottish broadsword, against Iaido, and it's generally the Iaido fighter was much more trained than I was, but except for the times where I'm just an idiot, it would generally be like a 1-for-1 trade, or I'd get one, he'd get one, or a whole bunch of like, well, I would have lost a hand, or yeah, right, because that's the way sword fighting really is. And games like For Honor exclude that. For Honor has fun elements, except the P2P multiplayer, which makes it unplayable. And then the fact that I bought it on an Xbox like a putz, so it's completely unplayable for me. No, in all fairness, I haven't played it since release, but it was terrible on release. That moment when the beta runs better than the actual release.
There's a reason why we develop, bow and arrow and shield walls with spears.
Right. Yeah.
Swords are not an effective way of killing people, unfortunately.
No, and they're good for they have a purpose, and same thing with the axe. The Vikings love the axe because they could use it on the campsite and then go out and use it on the enemy. That's why the Vikings like the axe. That's why it's such a notorious thing for them.
As a weapon.
Right. And the swords that they used were not designed to be fought sword against sword. They were designed to be fought in a shield wall. Another reason why the axe had a lot of preference, you can, with a bearded axe, you can hook and pull down shields with a bearded axe. You can, because I'm a wrestler, you can grab people's legs and do pick and pulls and put people down with the bearded axe. It's a weapon designed to fight in that particular way. The samurai didn't fight in shield walls, so that advantage would be gone. But in the same way, the katana was not designed to go through a shield, and it cannot. Anyone who says it can has never actually tried. It cannot go through a shield in one fell swing, unless that shield's made out of, like, styrofoam. We should do a hist.
You can go through a cardboard shield, dude.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Or maybe some...
I love the Cold Steel videos where they're like...
wood?
Yeah. I love the Cold Steel videos where they're like, oh, check how sharp this is. It cuts right through cardboard. I'm like, so does my kitchen knife.
Yeah.
I love Cold Steel products. Their videos make me lol.
Especially their little machetes. If you get a chance to buy one of those as a tool, I'd definitely do it.
So now down to my last two notes on my notes for this video, since we're at 49 minutes on our what was going to be a 30-minute video, because...
A quarter of it was stuff that was completely unrelated.
Hey, right? All about them tags. If you guys like hearing us complain about weapons and stuff and outdoorsy things, we're actually starting up a second channel. It's going to be RTR Outdoors. One day I'm going to fix the opening cards on this to where it actually says RTR Streams. But if we're going to have a second channel, RTR Outdoors. Probably going to be running through the same Twitter. So to go into my second topic I want to talk about, along with everything else, the ending card has the wrong name on it. But be sure, if you like our stuff, to follow us on Twitter at RTR Streams. It's capital RTR and then the word streams. So that way you can get the latest information on when we're uploading, and we hope
Capital RTR space streams.
Yeah, well, the at has no space in it, but either way, you'll find us. It'll be the same RTR logo, even though that logo is about to change so that it reflects our name more accurately. But anyway, so we'll drop a bunch of links to RTR Outdoors when it comes up. We plan on doing some really cool stuff with it, so be sure to check out that channel. Go ahead and give it a subscribe. If you don't like the videos, you can always unsub later.
We'll put an official kind of statement on that one. I don't think we ever did an official statement for this video, but just as kind of a preview, it's going to be an outdoors kind of bushcraft survival kind of channel, and then we probably will do some outdoor product reviews and things like that.
Yeah, and we'll probably, because, you know, to me, a lot of outdoor and survival stuff, a lot of the techniques that I employ are based off of historical things. So it probably will cover a lot of like historical, like, hey, this is how they used to do it. This is kind of a better way to, or a different way to do it with a more modern flair to it. Here's some ideas, even down to, I really like talking about the kind of psychology that goes along with being outdoors for extended stays.
This is an interesting thought that I just had. This second channel is obviously still in the birthplace here.
Yeah.
But what we could do...
This is the delivery room.
Yeah. What we could do is, I've had a rather extensive career in modern materials.
Mm-hmm.
And building methods and techniques. So we could actually probably, since you do things more historically anyway, which is, again, kind of why we're here with this game today.
Hey.
You could approach things from a historical standpoint, and then I could put a more modern spin on some stuff.
I'd like it. I mean, I love... The reason that it's us two doing the podcast is because he is the tantamount first-person shooter gamer. In terms of the games he likes are like the Destiny-style games, Halo, stuff like that. And I am the MOBA and RTS gamer. So that's the reason why it's us two in the podcast. There are other people in this group. We don't hear from them often because of the videos we've made so far. But we just happen to have that kind of chemistry. I think that would be awesome. I think it would kind of be the same thing.
We will still do things. So our first project that we're going to be doing, this again kind of a little preview, is we're going to be showing you how to pick a good location for a camp area, and then some suggestions on things to set up and do. And most of that is going to be bushcraft with the intention of, what can you do with limited supplies and materials.
And who's our special guest next week?
Let's see. It would appear that for next week we have scheduled the underrated waffles.
Okay, well, hope you guys enjoyed this podcast number 2 for RTR Streams. Next week we have special guest Underrated Waffles, and be sure to check out that second channel. Bye.